Hey everyone. Tonight we're stepping into a world so alien, so unforgiving, that it makes our worst day look like paradise. We're traveling back 4.7 million years to witness what life was truly like for our earliest ancestors. Forget everything you think you know about survival. This isn't some romanticized adventure story. This is raw, brutal existence where every sunrise was a lottery ticket and every sunset was borrowed time. So before we dive into this journey together, take a moment to hit that like button if you're ready to explore the unvarnished truth about our ancient past. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is for you. It's incredible to think we're all connected across the globe, discussing ancestors who lived when the world was utterly different. Now, settle in, maybe dim those lights, and let's travel back to a time when being human meant something entirely different than it does today. Picture this. You're jolted awake not by an alarm clock, but by the sound of something massive crashing through the underbrush nearby. Your eyes snap open, and the first thought isn't about coffee or checking your phone. It's a simple, primal calculation. Am I about to become breakfast for something with bigger teeth than mine? Welcome to morning in the world of 4.7 million years ago, where waking up alive wasn't guaranteed. It was a small miracle worth celebrating, assuming you had the luxury of celebration when survival demanded your immediate attention. There were no houses with locked doors, no security systems, no friendly neighborhood watch. Your bedroom was wherever exhaustion had claimed you the night before. Maybe you'd managed to wedge yourself between two sturdy branches high enough to discourage most ground predators. If you were less fortunate, you'd spent the night huddled on open ground with nothing but a pile of leaves for comfort and a prayer that nothing hungry would catch your scent. Privacy was a concept that simply didn't exist. Your small group of fellow survivors clustered together for warmth and protection, which meant waking up could put you face to face with your cousin, a beetle the size of your thumb, or evidence that someone's digestive system had violently disagreed with yesterday's questionable meal choice. The first moments of consciousness were spent listening. The landscape was never truly silent, and every sound carried meaning. Birds chirping meant daylight and possibly food sources nearby. The buzz of insects suggested you hadn't frozen to death overnight, but heavy footsteps in the distance, those it meant you should already be calculating your fastest route up the nearest climbable tree. Standing up required genuine courage. The darkness could have delivered any number of unpleasant surprises while you slept. A python seeking warmth, a predator marking territory uncomfortably close to your resting spot, or fresh evidence that something large and dangerous had been investigating your location during the night. Once you'd confirmed you weren't about to be immediately devoured, the next priority was locating your group. Isolation meant death. Staying together was your only insurance policy in a world where lone wanderers had roughly the same life expectancy as an ice cube in summer. Your reflection wasn't something you'd recognize in any mirror. Hair matted with debris, skin streaked with mud, and whatever plant matter had stuck to you overnight. Your only cosmetics were accidental smears of berry juice or pollen from yesterday's foraging attempts. But here's the remarkable thing. You were breathing. The sun was rising. You'd accomplished the day's first and most crucial task: continued existence. Everything that followed would be harder, more dangerous, and more desperate. But for this one precious moment, you could experience the simple, profound satisfaction of not being dead. The rest of your day would demand finding water, securing food, and locating shelter before darkness returned with its fresh collection of threats. But survival in this ancient world wasn't just about avoiding immediate death. It was about navigating an endless series of life-threatening puzzles that began the moment your stomach reminded you it existed. Breakfast wasn't a meal. It was a gamble with potentially fatal consequences. Your menu consisted of 3 basic categories: things that might nourish you, things that would definitely kill you, and things you desperately hoped fell into the first category. The problem was telling the difference. Berries were your most common option, but even they came with risks. Sweet ones disappeared quickly into your mouth. Bitter ones might still get consumed anyway because hunger doesn't allow for refined palates. Your ancestors had no field guides, no poison control centers, no internet to consult. Their method was brutally simple. Try it and see what happens. If your vision went blurry, you stopped eating. If your lips started tingling, you really stopped eating. Protein was even trickier to secure. Climbing trees in search of bird eggs meant risking angry parents with sharp beaks and sharper attitudes about uninvited guests. Finding a lizard sunbathing on a rock was a stroke of luck, but catching it required reflexes your modern descendants can barely imagine. And since fire hadn't been mastered yet, everything was consumed raw, bones and all. Sometimes fortune smiled in the form of a half-eaten carcass abandoned by a larger predator. This presented a complex moral equation: free meat versus the possibility that its original owner was still lurking nearby, wondering why you were handling their leftovers. In these situations, eating fast wasn't just good manners. It was survival strategy. Water seemed straightforward, until you realized that every seemingly pristine stream was a potential death sentence. That crystal-clear brook babbling peacefully through the rocks, it might be home to parasites that would make your intestines their permanent residence. The muddy puddle left by last night's rain, possibly safer than the stream, possibly a breeding ground for diseases that hadn't even been named yet. Your ancestors couldn't boil water, couldn't filter it, couldn't test it. They drank when thirst demanded and hoped their immune systems could handle whatever microscopic warfare was about to commence in their digestive tract. Dehydration killed faster than food poisoning, so the choice was often between definitely dying of thirst or possibly dying of whatever was swimming in the water. Every sip was accompanied by a careful scan of the surroundings. Drinking meant being vulnerable, head down, attention focused on the water instead of potential threats. Smart drinkers found narrow spots in streams where they could see both directions, or elevated pools away from main currents where crocodiles were less likely to be lurking just beneath the surface. This wasn't living. This was a daily negotiation with death, conducted through a series of calculated risks that determined whether you'd see another sunrise. So there you have it. A single day in the life of our ancestors, 4.7 million years ago, where every breath was earned, every meal was a risk, and every moment of safety was temporary. This wasn't some noble, savage fantasy or a romantic return to nature. This was existence stripped down to its most brutal essentials, where the gap between life and death was measured in heartbeats and split-second decisions. Yet somehow, impossibly, they made it. Through predators that could tear them apart, diseases that had no names, and a world that seemed designed to kill them at every turn, they survived long enough to become us. Every choice they made, every risk they calculated, every dawn they witnessed, brought us one step closer to the comfortable lives we take for granted today. The next time you flip a light switch, grab food from your refrigerator, or sleep safely in your bed, remember these ancestors who faced down lions with nothing but rocks and sticks, who drank from streams knowing it might kill them, and who found ways to laugh, love, and hope in a world that offered them almost nothing but struggle. Their legacy isn't written in stone monuments or golden artifacts. It's written in your DNA, in your survival instincts, and in the simple fact that you exist to hear this story. They didn't just survive the impossible, they conquered it, and that conquest echoes in every one of us today.